Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Assalamu alaikum. We are so delighted to be here. Welcome, everybody, to the session entitled Making of an Entrepreneur. We had a long introduction schedule, but some things have changed. But I just wanted to extend a warm welcome to all of you for making the time to join us. Also, want to welcome our esteemed panelists here who are going to shed some light on their journeys and how we can learn from theirs. But before we dive into that, there are some items that I wanted to cover. If you have not visited our KCF website in the audience, please feel free to do that. The reason for that is because we have an ever evolving, ever growing set of people who are willing to volunteer their time and effort to help us do initiatives that make long term impacts. I wanted to extend a warm welcome to two of our new panelists, Mr. Haroon and Dr. Rameez. Thank you so much for becoming part of our core team leadership. When we have a moment in our next sessions or when we have time, we will have a detailed introduction. In the meantime, if you want to know about all of us, if you want to know about our new panelists, about our core team leads and about our core team working group, the details are on our website. Please feel free to spend some time there and have a look. In terms of our agenda, there's a lot to cover, but I wanted to say that we have been around for now 8 to 9 months as an organization that's trying to do a little bit of an impact in terms of students, empowerment, knowledge transfer. We have a newsletter, which is a 6 monthly newsletter, which is going to come. We will be sending it out in a few weeks' time so you guys can see what we have done and what we need to do. We are in a process of growing and learning. So we would appreciate feedback in terms of what you see we have done right or what we may be missing and you would like us to do more. I would also encourage the audience. I will definitely go through a list of housekeeping items, but this is supposed to be an engaging live session where we take questions. So we encourage all of you to participate and ask questions and raise your hand while we are having a conversation here. I want to pass the mic to Tanzila. She's also part of our core team lead to give us a little bit of an introduction because we have a really engaging session happening on June 28th. It's going to be the Kashmiri diaspora that's based in Germany. Tanzila, if you can say a couple of words and then we can move on.
Hi everyone, welcome, Assalamu alaikum, wherever you're joining from. So I'm joining you from San Francisco today. Yes, the upcoming session, the next month session on June 28th is going to be very interesting. It's going to be about education and work opportunities in Germany. So towards the end of today's session, Falakji and Manzoor Saab are going to tell us a little bit more about it. We have identified interesting panelists, and you know that Germany is a great destination for education and career development. It will be nice to actually have that session, also hear from people who have first-hand experience. Back to you, Mahi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Tanzila. We do a lot of this. We are a dynamic group. There's a bunch of us who are part of the core team lead that you will see on camera. And if you want to know more, like I said, please feel free to reach out to us through kcf.com. But in the meantime, while we are here, feel free to text and interact. Let me go through some housekeeping items, starting with the introduction to who I am. My name is Mahrukh Banday. I am based out of California, very close to where Tanzila lives. I am part of the core team working group. We spend time contributing and engaging in and designing our sessions for all of you. In terms of the session today, we have wonderful panelists. They are experienced and they have an incredible amount of knowledge to share. So please feel free to engage by posting questions in the chat. We will pick them as they come in and we will answer them if we can in live sessions. And if we can't, we will get back to you after the session. After the session is done today, we will post it on our YouTube channel. So look for the YouTube channel on Kashmir Care Foundation and follow us there as well as watch the recordings post-session. I wanted to also say that there's a lot to cover today, but as a preemptive preparatory method, we have posted very detailed introductory videos of our current panelists on various KCF channels. If you haven't watched them so far, the content is available. Please feel free to take the time after the session to get to know our panelists a little more and kind of get interested enough to ask questions if you have to after the sessions as well. In terms of the time, we will try to cover the session within an hour, but we are open to extending for additional questions at the end of the session, so we will stay as long as it adds value to all of us. So with that, now I want to welcome you all to the session titled Making of an Entrepreneur for Leadership Roles and Successful Businesses. So, before we deep dive into the topic here, I just wanted to give you a perspective on what we think an entrepreneur is. So, who is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is an imaginative risk taker, a problem solver, someone who is quick to act, someone who is data driven, goal oriented, who needs to be self aware, and is able to make tough, courageous decisions while they are navigating challenges and overcoming fears and failures. And this is to pursue the dreams and passions that they have figured out and identified. And in our panel today, what's amazing is it's a chock full of individuals with these attributes who have had the courage to pursue their dreams, follow a mission in their life, and overcome challenges. And here we are to learn from all of them. Welcome to our esteemed panel. I will say hello to each one of them individually, mention a thing or two about what they have done, but the idea is that I only lead the conversation to them and they take it from there and tell us anything and everything they want to share in terms of helping us grow and learn. So I'm going to start the morning in California from another California entrepreneur. Welcome, Shafat Saab. Mr. Shafat Qazi is a Kashmiri born American entrepreneur. He's based out in Los Angeles, maybe 5, 6 hours from me here. He's the founder and CEO of BQE. It's a software company, one of the many. He has exited and are in the process of growing, and he's still growing strong. He has multiple other interests and makes an incredible amount of impact in everything he touches and his family touches as well. So welcome, sir, and we are happy to have you here. Dr. Javid Wani, he's a scientist turned entrepreneur, one of my favorite kinds because I believe scientists are great entrepreneurs anyway. He's the founder and CEO of T-Bioscan and Biocentra Diagnostics. Dr. Wani is based out of Texas, even though he has started his journey very early on from Kashmir with his education and his initial jobs. Then, among our younger entrepreneurs who have deeply inspired all of us here, I want to start with Mr. Mustafa Trumboo. We call him Mustafa here. He's a successful entrepreneur who has become an epitome of turning hard businesses in Kashmir into successful businesses by reinvigorating and restarting things in terms of mineral and gypsum-based businesses that are very rare and very difficult and commoditized. So lots of questions to ask, but so proud of having you here and so proud of having your journey to share. Last but not the least, our favorite woman entrepreneur that we want to represent here is Sana Imtiyaz. Sana is the founder and owner of Sweet Temptations. She's a successful home-based baker. She's located in Barzola and has started a business which is first of its kind and has kind of overcome both social and other challenges and is thriving in the region and has become a lightning rod and example for all young women in the valley. With that, I want to welcome all of you, sir and ma'ams. Thank you so much for joining us and thank you so much for making time for us. So before we dive into the questions, is there anything that I missed you would like to kind of add in terms of cursory introductions?
I just want
Sure.
to say that sorry, I just want to quickly make a joke that she talked about Sana, and I was like, oh, cake. I want cake in the morning. But okay, cool.
Yes.
So please go.
You
Yeah,
you'll be
so
excused.
okay. As you all can see, we at KCF like sweet treats. So Sana, you're in great company anyway. So I wanted to kind of dive in because there's a lot to cover. So I'm going to start maybe pointing out to each individual panelists and start with a series of questions. And please feel free to add and join in and chime in as the topics are discussed. So I'm going to start with Shafat Qazi Saab. Thank you so much, sir. In the last few interactions we have had, I have had the immense pleasure and honor to learn so much from you. There is so much of information and material about you and your journey out there. If people are keen, they can just Google your name and read from your Wikipedia page. There's so many videos and interviews on YouTube. So I'm not going to harp on things that people along the way know, but I know as a serial entrepreneur, you have had a remarkable story of turning $700 into a thriving business. So could you share insights, a little bit of your insights from your early life in Kashmir and beyond, and give us a glimpse? I don't think you can ever really cover your journey, but give us a glimpse of your entrepreneurial journey in a short, succinct way.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mahrukh, for that beautiful introduction. And I feel honored to be with other esteemed panelists here, from Javid Saab to Sana and Mustafa. So wonderful panel. I am excited. I shared my story a zillion times already online, so I'm going to do it one more time, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Bhus chus kosher, first of all, mish kosher taga asil paitan. But today we'll kind of mix it with kosher Angris, and that's fine. I live in Los Angeles. Magar bhus chus zamut Jawahar Nagar. So I was a local middle class family. My mother was a teacher, dad was a professor. Started with Burnhall School, which was the best thing that ever happened to my life. And a big shout out to my Hollyans if you are there. And it is, I can go on about my life in Burnhall School, but I just want to jump directly to NIT and from which was REC back then, and then eventually to the United States of America, which was my dream from childhood. And credit goes to one of my teachers at Burnhall School for inspiring me to go live in US and explore my passion about technology. During my master's in US, that was my first big business venture. I created a software for medical billing software, and that did really well and funded my education. Uh, Mahrukh mentioned I started my journey to US with $700. That's true. I had $500 and then additional $200 by a relative, actually my father-in-law. And that's all I had. And my landing first year fee was $25,000. So that I can actually spend 10 minutes on that story, but let's just start from $700 to being a successful entrepreneur. And I'll share that journey with you guys during this session today. But anyway, at some point in time, because of the cold weather in New York and also my passion for technology, so I wanted to be in California, which even back then was the mecca of technology. So I took my drive to California, joined an engineering firm, became a partner in that firm, ran that firm for 8 years, and became a partner in that firm for 8 years. And for, kind of experience the pain points that businesses are experiencing in terms of running their firms. So that's when I realized that I need to write a software for businesses that are business owners and managers that are running the firm, because they were experiencing a lot of pain point doing a lot of things manually. So that's when I sold all my shares in my engineering company and went to my garage and started writing code and building a software and doing research. It took me about 18 months to do so, and I launched BQE software, and that is another journey that has taken a big leap forward. And those of you, I know there are many Kashmiris that know me, but they may not know that I actually have a presence in Kashmir. My core office started right there early 2000s, and we have close to 200 employees in Kashmir. And it's a perfect example for those who feel like, hey, Kashmir, we shouldn't be opening office in Kashmir. It's uncertainty, it's this and that. Those are all excuses in my book. If you want to hire talent, there's just brilliant minds in Kashmir and very good work ethics. It all takes as a good system for an entrepreneur to build, and they follow that, and you can build great companies. BQE is an amazing company now. It's funded by a private equity. They're taking it to the next level. I took a partial exit a couple of years ago. Uh, just to wrap up, in addition to, of course, all of these things, I have a bucket list, and I enjoy that, fulfilling that bucket list. And one of the items on my bucket list was to learn how to fly a plane, which I did. Was to make a full feature film, and which I did. Songs of Paradise is a feature film which is inspired by the life of Raj Begum. And then, of course, I also had a bucket list of visiting 100 countries before I die. As of today, I am at country 79, and I'm scheduled to do 10 more this year, and inshallah 11 more next year. There will be a big online party. You're all invited. So that's in nutshell, Shafat Qazi.
Thank you so much, sir. Like in my short introduction of you, I said, and he keeps going. So I wasn't misplaced at all. So thanks a lot. From there, I'm going to move on to our wonderful female panelist. And I have met her when we started out in September. She's a delight, really. Hi, Sana. Sorry, welcome so much to our session. The question for you is, from what I have known about you, I know that your journey has been fueled by a passion that drives you from within. You have stood out and you have made decisions that really don't kind of fall in the norm. Could you discuss a little bit how your childhood and your education influenced your path to your entrepreneurship where you are today? Just a little, we have kind of heard a little bit, but if you could help our audience understand how you got here.
Hello, Mahi. Firstly, thank you so much to KCF for organizing this today, wherein all the panelists can share about their journeys, and I hope I'm able to add some value to everybody's time. I am Sana, and my journey started right after I passed my 12th. After you do your 12th here in Kashmir, you're given conventional career option, which is either to choose medical as your subjects or to opt for a non-medical stream. So I was given a similar option from my parents because they were government employees and they wanted me to opt for medicine. But initially, right after I passed my 12th, I'd scored good in 12th. So I was eligible for one quota wherein you get a free admission in Bangladesh through your merit. But unfortunately, that year some forgery had taken place and people having less merit than mine, they got selected and I was not selected. Even though now I feel that, it was probably one of the best things that happened to me. And later, I didn't go for MBBS and I joined Miranda House here in Delhi University. But by the time I joined Miranda House, I'd already started with baking. So basically, I have been interested in baking and cooking since my childhood. And I remember watching Khana Khazana shows while people used to watch Tom and Jerry. I used to jot down the recipes. And there was no internet that time. So, you had to be very quick in jotting down the recipes while Sanjeev Kapoor used to make all the dishes. So I still remember myself as a child watching all those shows. And, I loved serving people. I loved cooking. I was passionate about baking, but I never thought of making it a career option because, we have grown in an environment wherein we see people around us. They're either doctors, engineers, and then there's a societal pressure that you have. So a similar pressure I think my parents also had, and that is one of the reasons they wanted me to go for medicine. But later, once I did a course here in IHM, it was a 1 week course. It was in 2017. So I've started my bakery journey exactly in 2017, 8 years back. And initially, I used to do, I think, one order a week, and that's how it started. And later, right now, it is Alhamdulillah, it has touched more than 15 orders a day. And that is how it started. That is the journey. And then over these years, COVID also proved to be a blessing in disguise. But while I was there at Miranda House, uh, I had already started baking, so I wanted to come back to Kashmir and I wanted to study here in Kashmir. So I left Miranda House in 6 months only, and I came back to Kashmir. I joined IHM, so that is my educational background. So IHM also helped me, shape me into a better person because hotel management had certain subjects which were somehow related to my work. So my creativity and the education I got from IHM, both of it went hand in hand, and that's how it shaped me into an entrepreneur that I'm today.
Thank you so much, Sana. So to your answer, you add value everywhere you go. You've already added a lot of value to a lot of girls in the society in Kashmir. And it's amazing because your journey has already kind of resonated with someone. They want to know if you participated in the Big Chef Kashmir. Yes, no?
I have participated in Big Chef Kashmir in 2018. That's correct.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, moving on to Javed Saab. Dr. Javed, the commonality that you, me, Tanzila, and a bunch of us share with you, we go through these rigorous journeys of PhD programs. And we are kind of stand-in entrepreneurs in school, but very few of us translate that into a successful business as you have done. So could you please tell us that with your education in some prestigious institutions and your journey from research to entrepreneurship, how did your early journey from school, from education, your pursuit of various education programs and jobs that you have done have led to you to become a successful entrepreneur? You're muted, sir. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
so can you hear me now? Are you able to see my video though?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So thank you so much, Mahi, and thank you all the listeners and the panelists here. So I'm just kind of delighted to be a part of this journey. Maybe with this journey, all of us intend to educate some of our aspiring entrepreneurs in Kashmir, and we want them to be successful as well. We are, always our doors are going to be open for any mentorship, any guidance that anyone needs at any point of time. And we're very thankful to Kashmir Care Foundation as well, and to particularly to Dr. Altaf Lal. So has been very instrumental in putting all his efforts and putting a beautiful, a wonderful team together that has made is making a lot of difference to the this every sect that is important in Kashmir: entrepreneurship, medicine, in education, all of that. So it's wonderful. So we are very fortunate. I think all of us are fortunate to have people like the core team of the Kashmir Care Foundation under the leadership of Dr. Lal. And it has been, because of all of you that we're here speaking, in front of you, trying to, uh, um, share our experiences and our journeys with you. And I will definitely be delighted to share something a little bit. My journey has been a very, very arduous journey. It has been very long journey. It's where I am. It just kind of has not been easy to be here. I grew up in a village in Ajis, Bandipora, and did my all my schooling over there. And you know, I did I did my higher secondary school in Bandipora, so we had to go, on the top of a bus that only maybe three buses would come to through that road, and we would have to go on top of the bus and ride a bus to to our high secondary school. And even from going from my home to the bus, it would basically be almost 1.5 kilometer of going down, and we had to come back, go home. At that time, we will be sweating basically in during the summertime. So, but alhamdulillah, it was kind of we had good teachers, very, very good teachers. Those teachers really we cannot find nowadays. They were wonderful teachers. They had, they were very passionate, very compassionate about teaching us. So and also the love and the trust that our parents put in us, our elders put in us, that was very important. So I was I think the first one in our family who had basically gone to anywhere. For example, when I went for my bachelor's degree in SP College, so we had some relatives in Srinagar, so I had to, for some time I would stay with one relative, and for some months I would stay with another relative, and I would just kind of go here and there. And particularly in the first year of my college, I was completely, I was sick for the entire year because I had never gone out from my home. So I fell short of my attendance even. So finally, I I did my bachelor's degree in biology, So by the way, um, you know, I hated chemistry. Okay, so, anyone is a chemistry major with so big. So no one would have heard that there's someone could take geology in instead of chemistry. Okay, so I was a geology student. So we were just kind of it was it's I just kind of think about Mustafa and see that I have gone through that gypsum and other other minerals during my college years. And after that, I joined. I completed my bachelor's degree. I joined law school, so I joined the Department of Law at the University of Kashmir. So I was there for 1 year. I did 2 semesters were there, but in this at the same time um, I was selected as a for engineering to NIT for in electronics and communication engineering, and I joined the engineering school, and I was doing law as well. So I was going back and forth to engineering, to NIT and to the law school. And I would miss some classes over there, some classes over here. So I really did not have any idea what I'm doing and what I'm gonna do. I didn't have any guidance from my family, from my parents, my father, my mother. They had never gone to school. So I didn't know what I was doing and what I should basically do. But I remember one of the question sessions that was done by our science teacher. I don't think by a science teacher, by some other teacher in our 8th grade. So he asked everyone of us, who is going to become what? What do you want to be in future? So someone said, I want to be a forester. So he asked him, why do you want to be a forester? He said that because the foresters, they get a lot of chicken from people, and they they enjoy they get free food and free chickens and all. So when he asked me the question, so I told him that I want to be a scientist. So he basically asked me, why do you want to be a scientist? I said that I love biology. So I loved biology. So I loved the biology so much that during when I was in high school, I prepared a medicine from, if someone knows that one, was what that one is. Anyone knows that one? That one is Artemisia. So it's a very bitter plant. So you can't touch it with your hands. So I made a medicine for my mom. She had some stomach ailments at that age. So finally, so just going forward, when I finished my, so I didn't finish my law school. I didn't finish my, my engineering. So I was selected as a teacher. Okay, so I had appeared in an interview for the teaching interview during I think after I finished my bachelor's degree. So at that time there was governor rule when I was in college. So it just kind of, there were no appointments going on. There was nothing happening in terms of the employment, and or even to the medical college or to the so by the way, I was never interested to become a doctor. So everyone of my teachers would think or my parents would think that we would be a doctor, but I never had a, I don't know why I didn't have that kind of but I'm doing something like that right now. But finally what happened is I just kind of joined the Department of Education as a teacher. So the reason for that was that I had to leave my university, my engineering college, to help my parents. My dad told me that we need your help. You became a teacher. So he said that it comes from the heavens, that someone became a teacher in Kashmir was a big thing at that time. So I had I had topped the district of Baramulla in my matriculation exam in my 10th grade. So because of that, I was on the top list on the first number in the teaching, that list. So I had to join the teaching, the Department of Education. I left everything. I was very sad leaving the university because I loved that, being over there and being in that environment. But finally, I went to back to Ajas, and I was posted in a very remote village. If someone knows about Sadhunara, Sadhunara is one of the like a Sadarkot. Maybe people know Sadarkot, I guess. But I was posted in Sadhunara. Someone is somewhere more remote than that. So finally, I taught there for 2 to 3 years. Then I was transferred to a high school, and from the high school, I was deputed by the Department of Education to go for a bachelor's degree, for BEd, what you call BEd, bachelor's degree in education. So I got an opportunity again to go to Srinagar. So I really wanted to be over there. Um, uh, you know. So someone said that they're here. We're from Ganderbal. We're here in Ganderbal. We know you. So thank you so much. So, anyways, so I just kind of became a teacher. I stayed. I went back to the university, to the BEd college. I did my bachelor's degree in education. Then I went again to the university for a master's degree in education. So I really did not know what I'm doing. Okay, so I did a master's degree in education. So at the same time, I got myself enrolled into bachelor into master's degree in zoology, and I was always allowed by the Department of Education to pursue my education. I thank the Department of Education, government of Jammu and Kashmir. So they allowed me to do my BEd, my MEd, my master's degree in zoology. So I was paid for that. So my parents didn't have to, bother about anything because they were getting the money they wanted, and I was pursuing my education. So while I was in the university doing my master's degree, I got really interested in research. So I finished my master's degree and I applied to the Indian Institute of Science for a PhD program, but I did not get in there. I tried to apply some other places as well, but I did not get in there. I applied for a job at the University of, at SQUAST, and I was appointed as a research assistant, and I got I got the job, and they posted me in Ladakh in Leh. So I stayed there for 1.5 years. I had already got married, and when I reached over there, so I was there for 1.5 years. They sent me, so Department of Science and Technology sent me for a for a fellowship program in in biotechnology. They paid me that, and the university paid me my salary, and I just kind of had to go find out my own place. I went to New Delhi. I went to many institutions. Finally, I settled in the Department of Biotechnology, Center for Biotechnology at the Jawaharlal Nehru University as a research fellow. I stayed there for 2.5 years, and then I moved to Hyderabad in Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics. I was there for 1 year. From there, I applied for a position, a guest scientist position in Germany, in Neuherberg, Germany. So I got appointed there. So I was invited there. So I went over there. I was there for almost a year. From there, I I got admitted into the University of Munich, Germany, for a doctoral program in the Department of Medicine, and the program was the degree was basically my degree is in doctorate degree in human biology. So by the way, so we studied did research in molecular biology. So I had done a lot of research before that in JNU in CDFD on cancer. I did a lot of cancer research. So finally, I did the research in Germany, so on gene editing, on genetic engineering side of the thing. So finally, I finished my PhD in less than 4 years, and I came to the United States in 2005 as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Texas Health Sciences Center. So I applied several places. I got into several places, but I just wanted to have an H-1 visa. So listen to that very carefully. So I wanted an H-1 visa and I wanted a higher salary. So finally, one of the institutions they met my demands, and I came to the U.S. And I stayed there for 2 years as a postdoctoral fellow. Then I joined a biotech company in San Antonio. I was there for 2 years, but I had already made up my mind that I'm going to now transform my research, my ideas, that the research skills and the experience I got for so many years, I want to transfer it into an entrepreneurship goal. So after 2 years, I started my own company in 2010, and I became an entrepreneur. And that was another, journey. It was not very easy to reach where I am right now. So I had to go, I had different ideas, tried many ideas, tried many things, raised some capital. Finally, right now I have a laboratory that's a high complexity molecular diagnostics laboratory that is a College of American Pathologists and Center for Medicare and Medicaid accredited laboratory. And so we do high complexity diagnostics in infectious diseases particularly. And we personally develop technologies. So I employ scientists, I employ technologists. So we develop our own technologies over here and offer that in the clinical practice. So for example, if you see on my backside, you'll see that TBI. So very recently, I developed a panel of tests that can determine or diagnose brain injury by using a blood test. So there is no need to do an MRI or a CT scan for a brain injury if we, use these diagnostic tests. So we're just kind of for this one particularly, we are basically we're trying to raise $5 million to go at least nationwide. So there is a lot of opportunity in the traumatic brain injury with the so we were targeting personal injury market. So
Thank you.
that's
Thank
basically
you
my
so
story.
much, Javed. No, so I appreciate it. So the reason I say that is because I think your story can in itself become an episode for our spotlight. And there's a lot to learn. I see there's a lot of resonation. I'm sure students from Sabha School are really inspired because your journey is something that they can relate to. And I didn't mean to cut short, but we have to run to a certain schedule, but I appreciate the insight. And with that, I want to segue into your not so much love for geology to our master of gypsum and all things gypsum. So just wanted to continue our conversation and kind of finish our introductions. So I want to move on to Mustafa. Mustafa, thank you for your patience and welcome to our session. And you are among a very rare breed of Kashmiris who have kind of taken a journey from your school to mechanical engineering and then to mining, which is really intriguing. So what do you think in your early childhood or education or even upbringing was pivotal in giving you the courage to start a business, manage a business, and how are you managing it? How did you get where you are today?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all with us today. So, let me give you a brief introduction about myself and what my work is. So, my name is Mustafa Trumboo, and I'm from Baramulla, Jammu and Kashmir. And I own a mineral business in Kashmir where my work revolves around mining and trading of a mineral called as gypsum. And gypsum reserves are mostly located in a place called Udi, which is quite near to Baramulla. And once the gypsum is mined from the mountains, it is sent to cement plants or cement factories, where it acts as one of the basic ingredient for manufacturing cement. And it's also sent to plaster of Paris plants, which is typically called as POP, where it is used for the construction purpose in household works, right? So, coming to the question, I would like to split this question into two parts. Firstly, talking about my childhood experience and upbringing. And secondly, I would talk about my education. And I would try my best to extract good lessons from here, highlight the lessons which can be helpful for the audience. So, coming to the first part, my childhood and upbringing. So, I did my schooling from St. Joseph's Higher Secondary School, Baramulla, and from my school days, I would always be interested in activities that would require management skills and leadership qualities. So I would be the student willingly ready to join such activities requiring management skills. And for that reason, I was even chosen as the head boy of my school. And that was the initial phase where I got an experience about management, because as an head boy I learned how to manage students, how to talk to them, how to convince them, how to keep them motivated, and the main thing, how to keep everything into proper order and maintain discipline. So then if I connect the dots, and what I learned from there was management and leadership skills, and today I figure it out that entrepreneurship is a lot about management and having those leadership qualities. So that was my early part, my school days. And secondly, I would be a student who would love to travel, and fortunately, I got an opportunity to travel to international countries when I was in class 11th. So that was a period when I got to travel to Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. And for a student, when you are in class 11th and when you travel international, you get to learn a lot. You get exposed to technology, you talk to people, you get a different perspective of life. So that was a really great time of my life. And I would always love to be in company of entrepreneurs, like wherever I used to go and I would find entrepreneurs, I would love to spend time with them, talk to them, learn from them, and see them handling challenges and difficulties in their business. So that was somewhere that I could feel my inclination towards business, and that slowly I started developing passion for entrepreneurship and business. Now, coming to the highlights, what I would like to like throw some light on some learnings which I got from my school days. So especially for students, I would tell students to be open to education. Try to acquire knowledge from different sources you have. So don't be restricted to one subject. Try to learn, try to explore things, and most importantly, be confident, because you get different opportunities in your school days. So you need to be confident enough to like take those opportunities, and try to learn from them. And most importantly, a company matters a lot. So if you surround yourself with good people, with businessmen, entrepreneurs, or with like the people which you like, the good people who motivate you, who inspire you to do stuff, so that really is helpful. And coming to the second part, that's education. I did my mechanical engineering from Sir MVIT College, which is located in Bangalore. And for me, choosing mechanical engineering was because I am really passionate about cars, automobile. So that was the reason I chose mechanical engineering. And later, I developed quite good interest for machinery, be it aeronautics and other machines, which we get to learn in mechanical engineering part. And slowly, what happened, like when I came back home during my COVID days, so that was during the COVID days, like when I came back home, that was the period when I started my business. So that was mostly my mid college days, and COVID had recently been there. In Like there was a COVID outbreak everywhere. So I started my business during that time, and whatever I had learned in my mechanical engineering field, I could relate it with mining, because mining is something which involves machinery. Excavation is done using excavators and stuff. So that was the point where I started learning about it. And most importantly, I am a self-taught entrepreneur. I did not go for MTech or MBA. I had a plan to like go for MBA, but God had better plans. So once I started my business, and that was a small trading business which I started initially. and that too trading of gypsum. So there was nobody to teach me because I did not go for any specific program. So that was the phase I realized now I gotta learn about business. So during that phase, I think that was the best part of my life because I started learning about business in terms of reading books, attending webinars, getting in touch with people who would guide me, and learning about softwares because it was too initial for me to hire an accountant to manage my business. So I learned accountancy on my own. And I learned how to manage software. Say, let's talk about Tally Prime, which is one of the great software for accountancy. So that was the phase I started educating myself with respect to business, and that is how I learned about business, like getting a good direction about like what you want to do in life, and there you figure out what you need to learn. So the key highlights from this part would be knowledge is power, but knowledge is power, but the real power is applied knowledge. So whatever you learn in any phase of your life, try to apply that as much as possible. And to be honest, we have been blessed with technology, and we are really lucky as compared to people who were born before the technological era. There used to be a time when getting knowledge, you needed to go to the libraries and find books, but we have been blessed with smartphones. So I think if you want to learn something, if you really want to like gather knowledge, you have your smartphone and you can make the best use of it. I think be it somebody like staying in a who's living in US, or if you're living in Kashmir, if you know how to use technology, because technology has pros and cons. So if you know how to use your smartphones or technology in the best way, so that would be really helpful, and you can get to learn whatever you want to. And the third thing would be it's very important to have a good direction in your life. When you are educating yourself, you need to be very much clear where do you want to go in your life. You need to have a clear vision, a clear purpose, and a clear goal. And then you need to I believe hard work is the basic and the most important key to success. So that's like when you combine hard work, your education, and when you try to put things into practicality, you definitely get good results. That's all what I want to say for this question.
Thank you. Thank you. So, as we had expected, we are going to run a little longer, but I wanted to thank all of you for the background and the important highlights of your careers that you have highlighted so far. So, what I'm going to do now is I think a wonderful thing has happened. We had a schedule of questions to ask, but we have a very robustly engaged audience, and we were very lucky yesterday to get a bunch of really good questions. So, I am going to definitely start with Shafat Saab. So, I'm going to combine a couple of questions for you, if that's okay. One of the
Sure.
questions that's come up constantly is in the context, whether it's in Kashmir or whether it's globally or whether it's in US, how would you differentiate an idea from a business? So that a lot of people have a lot of ideas, and then there is the actuality of the business. And the second part of the question actually comes from a question that came in through yesterday. They want to know what are the effective strategies. So if you have a business plan, what are the effective strategies of raising investment, particularly in the early stage in tech-based startups? And I think you're the appropriate person to answer that question.
I can definitely answer both of those questions, Mahrukh. So let's start with what is the difference between an idea and a business plan. So um, the way I see it, idea is basically a dream. It's a what if that pops in your head. What if there was an app that delivered grocery in 15 minutes? That's an idea. Or what if I opened a cafe where people can adopt rescue cats? That's an idea. So all kinds of things that you could come up with where you feel like, oh no, what if I do this? What if I do that? But the idea is just a starting point. It doesn't make money, it doesn't really solve the problem, and it doesn't always automatically become a business. So for it to become a business, you need to take that action. And one of the foundational elements of taking the action is to sit down and do your homework. And by homework, I mean build an actual business plan. So answer questions like, who are my customers? And what will I be selling to them and for how much? How can I reach them? Where are my customers? The go-to-market strategy. How big is the market, the total addressable market? Where will the money come from? For me to buy inventory, should I take a loan or should I go ahead and sell some equity down the road in my company? More importantly, will I make profit, and how much profit will I make, and whether it's worth my effort or not. So basically, like a structured, written down process of taking that idea and converting it into something that is doable, where you can, say, okay, now I have a step-by-step plan. And it's always a good idea to run those business plan by some mentor who has been there to find, holes in it and try to fill those up
Yeah.
front. Because, as someone said, if I had 8 hours to chop a tree, I would use seven to sharpen my axe. So this is the sharpening the axe part of your business before you execute and chop that tree. And
Shafat Saab,
and yeah, go ahead.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interject because you're on the trajectory. You shared a wonderful story about someone trying to open a tea shop. I think that's an example that will really resonate deeply before we move on to how to get investments. Like this whole idea of having a business, if you could
Yeah,
share
yeah.
that.
This, by the way, is a true story. Somebody came to me and Kashmiri and said, "Hey, me should call on a cafeteria." To me gasm ponsa. So I was like, "Fine. Where are you opening this cafeteria?" He said, "You should gamak, Pulwam Nishan Utadur. It's a small town." Miss, how many people live in that town? He said, maybe 4,000 people. Miss, and how many do you think drink coffee? And he said, maybe, 1,000, which I think was overestimated. And Medus, how many of them have the habit of going out to have a cup of coffee as compared to, making it at home? He said, maybe 200. And I'm like, okay, how many times do you think they'll come to you in a day to have coffee? तो बोले, "हफ्तास में 2 you नहीं." So we started doing the math, and by the time I finished the math, it wasn't, making more than a few thousand rupees for him a month. So point I'm making is this is where that business model helps. You spreadsheet the whole equation, and this is where you look at the total addressable market. So it's very important to not take that idea, but actually, brainstorm that idea with someone and to figure out whether the numbers actually meet the idea, or am I wasting my time?
So that leads me into something really significant because there's a question here about innovation. Like what you are mentioning right now is an idea that one can imagine. Coffee, people wanted to have it. But there are innovations. For example, nobody knew they wanted an iPhone. There are ideas that have never been done before, like you did. How did you have the courage, or what kind of experience led you to believe that there is a need in the market and that you can address it? So if you could shed some light on that.
Absolutely. I think this is a very important question. A lot of people say, I want to start a business. I want to start a business. What should I do? The In my particular case, and pretty much every successful entrepreneur case, if you look at Facebook, you look at Microsoft, it has always been a problem solving, right? You have identified some kind of a problem that people are having, and you then basically said, okay, I'm going to create a solution for it. And usually the successful ones are the ones that are self-experiencing that problem or the pain point. In my particular case, I was running an engineering company as an owner, uh, and I was trying to run my company. It was becoming very hard. And I experienced a pain point that, look, it's very difficult for me to run a business of this scale. How do I make it easy for myself? And then, of course, for other business owners. So initially, when I wrote the software, I wrote it for myself in a way, and made myself the guinea pig for testing that particular product. And it was through that first-hand experience that I was able to go ahead and build the company that I've built since with BQE. But even with medical billing software, I told you I wrote that. It was that doctor's office that I was sitting in the lobby for 45 minutes waiting for the doctor to see me. And I was watching his assistant do all the paperwork with their hand, and their hands were literally hurting, and I could see that it was a tedious, repetitive, mundane task that could have been automated. And I went to the doctor, and he's putting the stethoscope on my chest, and I'm asking him a question saying, why are you doing all this manually? Can I write a software for you? So it is that desire to solve problems that really gets an entrepreneur born. And you mentioned iPhone, whether it's an iPhone or it's Facebook, they all try to solve the problem. And Steve Jobs, with if I remember correctly, his statement with the iPhone was, The problem with the current phones is that it's a two-story phone. There's a screen at the top and the keyboard at the bottom, and the second bottom story needs to go, and the screen needs to be one story. And he solved the usability problem, not necessarily the phone problem. So, which became then the standard for all of the smartphones.
So absolutely, thank you. And that kind of leads me to a couple of things that will downstream lead to a bunch of questions because I think there's a theme that is gathering here through the question. So maybe by show of hands, um, did you? I'm going to start with you, Shafat. Did you raise money for your Series A?
Oh,
Yes or no?
absolutely. Well, no, well, I did not do any Series A for my any of my companies. All of them were self-funded, but eventually, towards the end, I did bring in a private equity and let go partially my ownership, and I'll share that a little later. But
Yeah,
the the big question is, and I have got a lot of heat for this, and people always tell me, "So, Vanan kya shukse yaar?" And the question was really, do I need money to start a company? And I used to tell people, "Imge hila bahana." If you want to start
yeah,
a business, there are ways to start a business without money. And that Hila Bahana became a Hila Bahana story on social media. Hey, Shafat Wani Imge Hila Bahana, but I can elaborate on that on a separate webinar, maybe.
absolutely. And that brings me to because Sana, if you can come back on the screen, Sana is a unique example. Sana, did you raise money, Sana?
No, I haven't raised any money yet. So I still remember that my initial investment was for 4,000 rupees. And that only required for my work, that only required a turntable and a palette knife and a hand blender. And we already had an oven at home. So it was from my ED. And since then, I've only reinvested my own money. So there has been no investors and there's been no external funds that I've taken as of now.
So to write the coattails of what Shafat already said, if you want to start a business, if there is a will, you will find a way to start at least the initial funding and get it going. And that brings me to Dr. Wani. आप लोगों ने क्या तो अचूक come with funding? Did you raise a Series A, B for your companies that you have? Yes, no.
Yes, I have raised some seed money, some angel investment I've raised. I certainly believe that raising money should be a part of the process for an entrepreneur. Okay, so
Absolutely.
someone
Thank you.
asked the question, what's the difference between a business and an entrepreneur? Business can be, for example,
Yeah,
someone has an export-import business. Okay, so he just kind of sells some stuff, but entrepreneurship is something bigger than that.
absolutely.
So.
Thank you. Mustafa, can you shed some light on what has been the investment scenario for you and your businesses?
For me, the investment was quite basic, and I still remember the first investment was just 4,000 rupees. And I still remember the date, 19 June 2020. So I started my business just with 4,000 rupees, and that was the phase when I got into trading business. Later on, with such limited money, you need to be really good with your suppliers and very good with your customers. So I believe if you gain their trust and if you have that passion and that credibility, people sometimes do trust you at the initial phase, and that was somewhere I could gain the trust of my suppliers. And I showed my customers that I can create a value, I can give you a product that has good quality, that has good purity. And once that thing was put into practicality, and automatically the customers would trust me more, and my suppliers would trust me more when I would make them payments at the right time. So that was a early phase of like managing, trying to raise funds from like getting credit from suppliers and giving it to the customers, and then sometimes even waiting for the payment from the customers, because sometimes there used to be a delay. And in the meantime, with such limited funds, I would have to convince my suppliers to wait, and that would be the challenging part, how to convince them to wait, or wait for the payments. Maybe there would be a delay someday. So that was the phase where I think reciprocated from a supplier, then to the customer side, and eventually learned how to manage funds and like raise working capital that would be sufficient enough for me to like excel in business and grow my business to a different level.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. So before we dive, because investment is a topic that everybody kind of gets hung up on. So there's a fear that I have an idea. How am I going to go take it to market? कहाँ से लाऊंगा पैसे? क्या होंगे? So Shafat Sab, can we take this as a moment, a teaching moment for the audience? And could you elaborate on the anatomy of funding agencies? So what can a funding agency look like, from VC to private equity to family funds to hedges to angel investors? अगर आप थोड़ा सा, just, it doesn't have to be exhaustive, but if you could list a few and then kind of educate our youth here as to what structures look like that can give investment for their ideas and what's needed.
Absolutely, Mahrukh, I would be more than glad to highlight and differentiate that. And I think one of the quick points that I also want to make sure people know is when we're talking about funding your business, don't rule out the debt portion of it, because the money can also come from somebody giving you a loan, especially if you have a business that already has a cash flow. A good example is Sana's business or Mustafa's business. So they already have a cash flow, so they could be borrowing the money from a bank to scale their business without leverage, giving away their equity. So essentially, in the world of financing or selling equity, you have multiple type of investors. There are angel investors, I'm one of them, or early venture capitalist. The difference between an angel investor and a venture capitalist and a private equity is significant. In angel investor situation, the guy doesn't really knows that you don't have any revenue. He believes or she believes in your idea, in the overall concept, the vision, and puts money in and usually says, look, if the company gets somewhere, then my money that I gave you would convert into some kind of an equity. So it's a convertible note which has really no strings attached. And you succeed, then yes, you get a good valuation on your company, and suddenly that money can turn into a lot of money. As compared to venture capitalists, where they invest, they take some equity in exchange, but one of the things they do is they basically say that as soon as we raise money, we'll be paid first before anybody else would be. So they remain very senior, but they take the most risk. And remember, the venture capitalist, because they take the risk, they will actually ask for a large piece of equity compared to what they're giving you. So the one again point is, don't take that, don't sell your equity if you can pay the loan payments instead of taking a debt, maybe instead of selling that. Last but not the least is a private equity, which is really more like a later stage investment that you get. You don't get private equities interested in you if you are not making enough money. So in US, as an example, most private equities don't get involved if your company is not making 20 million or more in annual sales. So to bring in a private equity, you're talking about people that can take you public. You're talking about people that can do a strategic sale to another company down the road for millions, if not billions. So it's a whole different ball game. And for you to bring in private equity, you got to really have all your T's crossed, I's dotted. It's got to be a clean company. Accounting's got to be perfect. And I gone through that process. I worked with 12 private equity firms, narrowed down to 4, and eventually picked one. But it was a very tedious process. It took me 3 years to just go through that process until I made that decision. So your easiest one is is your friends and relatives and your mom and dad. They're the angel investors, is what I call them, followed by a business owner like Shafat, who may like what you're doing and want to invest a little bit more in that idea. And eventually, when you scale, when you get to that level, then you bring in the private equity at that point.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I just, so because there's a really nice question here. So, we can Google a lot of things. You can watch Shark Tank, you can learn business, you can do an MBA. So globally, as the principles of business apply, there is something to be said for the local setup, your local market, the market that you want to grow into. So I was going to segue into a discussion with Mustafa and Sana. How have you managed to scale locally? I mean, the principles of business apply across the board. How have you managed to scale locally? What about your marketing? What about your KPIs? What are you measuring? And after that, I want to go to Dr. Wani for another question. But the two of you, because you are an example for what we are trying to do here. Dr. Shafat and Dr. Wani are global epitomes of success and having traversed multiple markets globally. But when people think of starting a business in Kashmir, their challenges are very local and the market is very local. So could you shed some light on how have you scaled your idea into a business, and what are the metrics you hold yourself accountable for, and also what are the marketing tactics that you have thought and that have worked for you? Sana, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. So initially, when I started, it was the right time for me to start because the concept of a home-based bakery in Kashmir, it was not very acceptable, and there were not a lot of home bakers present. So the field was not saturated. And if you see in these 8 years, right now we have more than 100 bakers. And when I started, I was second from Srinagar, having started a home-based bakery business. So, entering into the market was not very difficult for me because somehow through word of mouth, through my consistency, and through my skills and creativity, I could attract a bunch of customers. And then, of course, through word of mouth, I got to attract more customers. And social media, Instagram was also very new at that time. So initially, I would make a cake. I would post a picture on social media, and I would get orders through WhatsApp. And even now, I don't have a physical store. I'm working. I'm using my social media accounts for orders. So there's no store that people visit. People place their orders on social media. So I have to be very active with the trends. I have to be very active with the reels that are there on social media right now. So I think that is the marketing strategy that I have adapted so far. And so far, if you consider, there's nothing I've spent in marketing as such. But initially, also, there's this group on Facebook. It's a female group, namely Yagjut. It was started they had started it in 2018. It's an all-female group, and Hana's one of my seniors from school. She had started it, and I could actually post about my work there on Yagjut. And I think back in 2018, Kashmir in general, when you consider business in Kashmir at that time, it was quite male dominant, and I didn't see a lot of females entering into business at that time. But over the years, I think from 2018 to now 2025, I have seen so many female entrepreneurs coming up with new business ideas and plans. And Yagjut somehow has also helped them because people have also somehow preferred female entrepreneurs, and they have also started ordering from female entrepreneurs. And that's how initially it helped grow my business. And also I used to take part in exhibitions, and that also somehow attracted customers. So yeah, so it's social media and initially the exhibitions and the Yagjut.
Thanks, Sana. Now, to you, Mustafa, has it been different for you?
It's a beautiful question, and let me start with what about a text which I read in a book. So they say that entrepreneurship is a human institution designed to create products and services under extreme uncertainty. So when you talk about uncertainty and when you talk about Kashmir, so when we plan doing business in Kashmir, the first thing would be being very comfortable with uncertainty. And for that reason, you need to be very flexible. There's a beautiful quote which says, write your goals with pen and your strategies with pencil. So you need to be very much clear with your goals, but strategies may have to change depending upon the conditions in the market. So you have to be very flexible. You can't be reluctant. You and having a unwillingness to change. That's not how things work. And specifically talking about my business, like I never hired any marketing expert, and since it's the business is regarding raw materials, so what I used to do and what I still do is figure out cement factories in India and look for traders. And it's simple, like give them a call, try to connect with them, try to talk with them. And for me, it is very important to convince your customer. I think marketing is more of like how you convince your customer to buy a product when like he's ready to buy a product or like ready to take a service from you. So what my approach is, like when I speak to my customers, I call them directly, and I would never rush in making a deal, because the most common thing is we call them and we are like, ये इसका rate ऐसा है, आपको delivery कब चाहिए. So the first thing would be making the customer comfortable. So the basic thing is, the best way to convince people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. So for me, for example, as an entrepreneur, I want to close my sale, right? I want to sell my product, but that's not how you think about it. You need to see what the customer wants. You need to understand what the customer really needs, and you need to identify the problem you want to solve for the customer. And when you try to look at the problem from your perspective and from the perspective of your customer, things become very clear. So that clarity is very important. And moreover, when you speak to your customer, you need to be very clear, like what kind of product you want to give to them, what will be your quality, what quantity you commit with them, and how will you deliver the product. So that commitment has to be pretty clear. And like I said, uncertainty is always there, so maybe sometimes things turned out to be opposite of what you planned. So that is the point when the real game kicks in. So you have to be quite persistent and always keep the customer happy, and try your best to fulfill the need of the customer. That's how I would like to answer this question.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. So before we go to the next thing, I was hoping by the middle of our discussion, we will have a little time to say that Dr. Saab, Dr. Altaf, is always the one who, he's our patron saint of KCF. He's our president. He's always the one who starts these sessions with auspicious inaugural remarks. But he's traveling today and he's at the airport in Atlanta. I'm not sure, Dr. Saab, आपने board किया है? अगर आपने board नहीं किया, can you just turn your mic on and say hello for a second? And if not, that's okay too. Just want to know if you can hear me.
Mahi and everyone else, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. I'm about to board, but thank you so much, everyone. I've been listening patiently, Shafat, you, Javed, Mustafa, and Sana. And I also know how many of you are dialed in today. So if I could make a pitch, www.kashmircarefoundation.org. Keep visiting, keep sharing your feedback. And I know you're going to announce the June session very soon. But I'll sign off, but keep listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's an entrepreneur, and that's an entrepreneur on the side of KCF. So thank you, Dr. Saab. Safe journey. But coming back to this question, and Javid Saab, आपका थोड़ा सा insight चाहिए. I know we can't delve too much into detail, but we have been interacting with Great Deal through SCOST and some other IUST and other institutions where people are teetering on the biotech, biopharma world. Do you see, from your experience in US and the hurdles you've had even here, but do you see some encouraging signals from Kashmir and the potential of that market to maybe start formulating a backdrop for small biotechs or small technology or lab companies that can start in Kashmir and that can actually thrive in Kashmir? I just wanted to get what your insights were, and later on, if you were open to actually engaging with someone who may need some guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mahi. We definitely need something that should happen in Kashmir. I think recently somewhere I saw that SCOST has put together a department or an institute that is is going to work like an incubator for biotech companies. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I just I don't know where I saw that. But that's something what is basically needed. So for a biotech company to give birth, it is important that there has to be an incubator where those ideas can be tested, those the technology can be built, it can be established, it can be validated, it can be established, and that's very important. So biotech company is it's not writing a code, a software in the in a garage or in an office, but there is a lab needed for that, and there's equipment needed in that. So there is, and also there is capital needed for that. So, for example, but let's say I have experience in building, in developing small molecules for biopharmaceutical molecules. I have experience in building, developing vaccine, candidates. I have experience in building or developing diagnostics. But all of that needs an infrastructure. All of that
Yeah.
needs capital, so that the reagents, the materials, the machines, they're expensive. So, for example, if I take a look at this lab particularly, so I had 2 3 labs exited from there. So this lab, for example, I started this with $50,000 in capital. So there's some capital needed for that equipment, for getting that idea to the next level. And
Yeah.
I definitely see that there is an opportunity in Kashmir. There is,
Yeah.
for example, I would say um, um, in the medicine, in the field of medicine, there is a lot that can be
Absolutely.
basically done over there. But if the institutions like SPOST or Kashmir University are going to be involved in that, that will basically help. We can provide access to any technology that is going to be helpful developing over there, or the mentorship, or in any area that we are skilled, we will be open to providing our feedback.
Shukriya, Dr. Saab. Thank you so much. And I'm going to encourage the audience to reach out to us and reach out to Dr. Wani, because I think I am aware that there is an incubator center in IUST, as well as there's Someone's Cost, where people are incubating some ideas. And I know, as you have heard, he's willing to help and mentor. So that brings me to something really interesting. We have a plethora of questions, and we only have very little time left. So I'm going to do a bit of a rapid fire session, quick answers, quick questions. I'm going to start with mentorship. Sana, did you have a mentor?
No, Mahi, I did not have any mentor. And like I already told you, my parents were government employees. So we have nobody in our first family who is into business. So it was all hands-on and it was all organic. It was, my passion turned into business, and no mentorship at all.
So would you say fumble and learn is the strategy that Sana follows?
Yeah.
Okay. Mustafa, did you have a mentor?
Yes, definitely. I have a mentor, and his name is Mr. Mohammed Shafat Trumboo, my uncle. And moreover, my one more uncle, his name is Mr. Shakil Rahman, and he's the founder of Fairlife Company. So both of them are my great mentors, and I get to learn a lot from them.
Wonderful. Dr. Mani, did you have a mentor?
I wish I had a mentor at the very early stage of my career. But I
Wonderful.
don't have anyone now. I mentor people now, but I wish I had a mentor at the time, and I would not have maybe gone into 1,000 directions. I could have. Yeah, there was.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Shafat Saab, did you have a mentor?
Oh, absolutely. I had mentor. I actually just didn't have mentor. I was also inspired by a lot of people and I followed them. I read their books, I read their biographies. In many cases, I contacted them. I would go to the shows, I would go to trade shows, I would hang around people that had made it. I was, a curious George asking questions every time. What did you do? How did you do it? What would you have done differently? What advice do you have for younger yourself? So from every age group, and I highly encourage people that are on this chat and those who are going to listen later on, don't be shy to reach out to people that have made it in your industry that you're trying to work in and seek their mentorship or at least their guidance. You'd be surprised how generous people can be. So definitely do that.
No, thank you. So that brings me to a question that's very specifically pointed at you. Someone in the
Oh,
audience said that they have developed a classical basic MVP and conducted some market research. The initial indicators for the technology look pretty promising. However, currently I'm unsure of what the next steps should be. Should I register the company? How do I approach my investors? And how do I find them? And it's a tech startup, and the audience is primarily in the first world countries. I'm also uncertain about the best country to register. So there's a lot rolled up in it, but I think maybe the guidance is what next, how to, and the easy pepper things that you can do right off the bat. And I'm going to volunteer you, Shafat Saab, in case the person has more questions, to write to us, and then we can connect you guys. But just to highlight what the few questions were here.
well, I think the question of where I should be registering my company is to me it's not that important where you should be registering company at an early stage. It can always be changed. Those are very easy things to do. I would not ask you to register in US or even Delaware because the annual maintenance costs are very high, somewhere between $300 or $500. So I would start by registering locally and go through that process of, building that company. But the and Mahrukh, give me like 2 minutes, and I think this is extremely important for every entrepreneur, and I highly encourage that don't waste your time taking notes because this is going to be recorded. You can later on take the notes. Identify the problem that you're trying to solve, and what is that real world problem. Move on to second step is your solution. Identify your solution, exactly how you're solving it. Look into the total addressable market. I talked about that, very important. And if you have done some, if you've developed the software, show that software to people and sell it to a few people, or maybe give it free to people and get their reaction and document that, because that's what you would eventually need if you want to raise money. Right, do that business model that I talked about earlier. Build your go-to-market strategy. Where are your customers? If you're selling headphones that are attractive to Gen Y and Gen Z, then your Gen Y and Gen Z lives in schools and colleges. So how do you go to schools and colleges? How do you sell your product to them? Who's your team? Are you the team, the only person, or is there other people that have special skills and they're bringing that? And more importantly, why now? Why is your particular product better than anything else in the market? So have these clear answers because this is a very crowded marketplace, and I can assure you, any idea many of us have, there's somebody already has built a business on top of that. So look into what they've done differently and what is your niche. And that's the key word here. What is your niche? How do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? And that's what you're going to be able to stand out and sell it to investors and sell it to venture capitalists as well as angel investors.
No, thank you. That was really, really insightful, Shwat. And coming back to our quick rapid fire session, the other rapid fire sessions are there's a notion that you start a company. Company means you and many other people. When was the first time you hired your first employee? What did it take? And how has managing people changed you? I will start with Mustafa.
Could you please repeat the question? I was just answering a question right now.
So there's a notion that people start companies and you suddenly become a big boss and have a bunch of people working for you, but that's
Right.
not the reality. When did you hire? Starting into your entrepreneurship, when was the first employee hired? And how has managing people changed you as a person and as a leader?
All right. So, like I told you, I started my business in my mid-college days. So, once I started my business, that was the first time when I hired a manager, and his name is Ashraf Wani. And when I started my mining activity, so there are so many people involved with mining. For example, we have a great team of transporters, laborers, and guys who do the excavation process. So I believe having a right team is really important because that is how your work will excel. And what you need to do is when you choose a team, you need to have a diverse team with people having different skill sets. So the main game is to understand how you get your work done and who is going to get your work done. Say, for example, if somebody is good with communication skills, you can try to put him into marketing, and they can try to get stuff done. And similarly, someone can handle challenges. So you need to understand what kind of team you have and what kind of skills they have, and accordingly you need to like have a good control over them, and help them to work together, not against each other, because sometimes we get bad competition among team members. So we need to like align them in such a way that they work for a big cause, and that's for the betterment of the company. And I would say, like once I got into business, that made me more humble and patient. Like when you get a powerful position as a businessman, or as an entrepreneur, so you learn how to be more patient and develop a high threshold for pain, and you know how to deal with problems. So because as a founder and as an entrepreneur, you need to be cool and calm, and that is how you can keep your team members cool and calm, and that is how you can handle difficulties, or like ups and downs. So that is how like one like an entrepreneur should work, and like club the team members to work for a better cause and take the company to a higher level.
Thank you so much. I'm going to shift quickly to Dr. Wani. When did you hire your first employee, Dr. Saab, and how many are there now, and how has it been managing people?
Okay, the first employee, I think I hired in 2015, 10 years back. And the first employee was was lab tech. So I was working on a hepatitis C diagnostic device that I had developed, and I wanted to, wanted that technician girl to work on that. And it was a nice experience, because at that time I was just kind of thinking only, well, how can I pay her? How I'm gonna manage to pay the bills of the lab and other things. So over the years, I have hired maybe 20 employees or so. So so we don't have a very big team. So I've had at one time we had a sales team also, a 5, 6 people sales team, a sales manager with some sales engineers and all. But then I learned a different approach to marketing, to business development, and now we basically have only the technical staff. We have a lab director, we have a medical director, we have a technical supervisor, we have a technologist, we have a technician, we have a CFO, kind of person, and a manager. And then my time is now a little bit, kind of much freer than it used to be. For many years I have worked, just kind of alone, just myself, being the boss, being everything.
Thank you. Qazi Saab, आपकी तो scale ही अलग है. You have a much bigger team. But I also know you have a partner in crime at home who was part of the team at some point. So I think yours is a very unique journey. If you could give us a quick perspective on that.
The best hire, Mahrukh, you mentioned already for me was my wife, Samina. She used to tell people that I sell my husband's dream, which is in a way true. I was a great engineer and a great programmer, but I had no idea how to sell. So early on, my first hire was a salesperson. But two, three things important. I think one is for entrepreneurs, don't rush into hiring. Hire consultants initially for different things that you need guidance on that you're not a specialist in, but work hard. I mean, I used to work 70, 80, 90 hours a week before I felt like I'm getting burned out and I need another person to help me out. The overall experience, I had in hiring, and I must have hired over 1,000 people personally, is that expect that 30% of the people you're going to hire are going to be wrong hire. So always overhire when you are growing. So if you need three people, hire four because you're going to lose one because that person wasn't a good choice. So that's my lesson. But my journey has been amazing in general in hiring. So, but I started by hiring myself for 40 hours, then rehired myself for another 40 hours. So I was working 80 hours, until I was burned out.
Okay, I mean I think the reason I highlight these different stories is because there is no one formulation to a startup success. But I want to come to Sana and say, Sana, who did you hire first? And as a woman, and I know as a woman leader myself, we are acutely investigated regarding our leadership skills and success. So have you felt that? And tell me who you hired, how big is your team, and what have you learned about yourself and your team along the way?
So the first employee I hired
Employee I
exactly in COVID, because COVID somehow proved to be a blessing in disguise for me because people somehow preferred home-based bakeries over the normal physical stores. So it was 2020, and the first employee was a chef, and right now I have 5 employees, 3 are females and 2 male, and yeah, and about the teamwork, I think, initially, like Shafat Saab already mentioned, there was a time I used to feel burnout. And that was when I realized that, I need to delegate work and I need to have employees. And, at some point in life, in business, you can't do everything alone. You can't be the manager. You can't be the one handling social media. You can't be the one talking to the customers and also making the cakes. So that at some point I realized it's very important that I delegate my work. And initially, and even now, I would say I'm still learning how to delegate because I don't trust people very easily. And my business is like a baby that I've built it from scratch, and I don't like any unsatisfactory clients or customers. So I check on every small detail. So even now I am still learning this, but yeah, when it comes to the team, it has taught me leadership, but leadership not in the sense that I instruct them about the cakes, but also a better communication, a clear communication, a mutual respect, and listening to them, listening to my team, and then making sure that they listen to me. And yeah, and that's how I've built a team so far.
That's wonderful. And I think as what we do at KCF is wonderful. I'm so glad that you are here and you can actually connect with Shafat Saab and Wani Saab, because I think as a young woman entrepreneur, some guidance to scale up where all business ideas are babies, and letting go and let the baby go to nursery school, go to college will help grow. So I think there's an opportunity here to learn and converse as well. So we are almost reaching the end of our session. I have one more set of questions and then we can wrap it up. But on quick note, what we see today of all of you is this wonderful journey of success, the body of work you have done, the amount of success and mileage you have covered in your lives. However, no journey is easy, and it would be wrong on our part not to acknowledge that there are challenges, more challenges than wins most of the time. So, quick answer: what was the failure that hit home really hard, and how did you quickly overcome it? But it can't have always been success. So I'm going to start with Mani Saab. What was it that failed badly and you recovered from it, and what did it teach you?
This question is tough. So I just kind of do not see myself as a very, very successful entrepreneur yet.
Humility, thou art. Mustafa.
I can't quote a particular event because I believe entrepreneurship has ups and downs. So I think there are victories, defeats every day. So I can't be specific with any event. And I believe failure is nothing but learning. That's it. Because if you learn from failure, it's no longer a failure, right? So I believe a failure is a feedback. That's it. So, and that too, it happens most of the times. That's it.
Wonderful. Sana.
Yeah, so for me, since I've already told you all that I have only reinvested in my business. So there was a time when, right before Article 370 happened, I did a major investment, and which was to convert my home garage into a cloud kitchen. And I did that when my father was posted in Delhi, because otherwise he wouldn't have allowed me to convert the garage into a cloud kitchen. And exactly, I think it was 3rd of August when I started baking there, and then 5th of August, everything was shut down. And since my work depends upon social media, I don't have a physical store. So without social media, I am not able to do business. So I think that was the time, that period until COVID happened, and then everything got back to normal. I think those 7-8 months, I don't think I've served any customers, honestly. So I think that one phase was very tough. Yeah.
Okay. But learned, grew some thick skin, and moved forward. I think that's the mark of an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur. Shafat Saab, आप बताइए.
Yeah, I agree with that notion. I have to say that I have failed many times. I have been rejected many times. I have lost many sales. It's part of the entrepreneurial journey. I used to follow the Dalai Lama's advice: when you lose, don't lose the lesson. So I would take the
Yeah.
lesson from that failure and, move to the next step and not give up, not consider that as a major setback. I tell people and entrepreneurs all the time, I say, look, failure is not opposite of success, rather a part of it. So if you want to succeed, you're going to slip, you're going to fall, you're going to make wrong decisions. But without those failures, you would not be where you want to be. So embrace it as a learning experience and move forward. So I have so many failure stories to tell you. That would take another hour, but it's because of those mistakes that I am where I am today.
No, thank you so much. So I want to conclude, but before we conclude, to bring some levity, uh, Sana, Dr. Lal wants to know if you would give a discount to the audience present today if they wanted to order some cakes. So I'm going to say, of course.
Of course. Yeah, I was just typing in.
Okay. And on a quick note, the other question is, because we are all Kashmiris, I just want to know, to bring the humanness and humanity to this panel that seems so up in the stars and so successful and so wonderfully driven and following their dreams. So, best favorite, and Tanzila and I play this game, favorite Vazwan dish. Javed Saab, आपका वाजवान का favorite dish कौन सा?
Me, so tabak mas.
Mustafa.
Rista.
Okay. Sana?
Mine is also Rista.
Kajta.
I am a big fan of Marzwangan Korma
Lovely.
because that gets me excited, honestly. It sweats me. I love it.
So to the audience here, if you're around, if you've been here the whole time listening to this, thank you so much. And I gave you a way to be in the good books of our panelists based on what you can offer them in your Vazwans of town. But before I end this panel, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all, not just our panelists, but also our audience who have spent the last hour and a half engaging with us. I see we have a really high retention rate here. I'm going to ask Zahur Saab, there were 800 or 900 Facebook entries. So, I mean, we are live on Facebook and it's already reached 800 or so people. I think that's a big, big achievement for all of you and the engagement that you have created today. But before I end, there were a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. We do have session recaps. We write papers on our sessions. We're going to do the same for this. We're going to see a publication in Greater Kashmir, which will highlight what we have done today. We have recorded all of our sessions so far, and this session is no exception. We will record this and it'll be available in a few days on our YouTube channel, and we will make an announcement there. As mentioned earlier by Tanzila, we have an upcoming session in June, on June 28th. It's about opportunities in Germany. And I'm sure people here who are particularly in Kashmir and would like to see what the global diaspora and the global markets have to offer, please feel free to join that session. And I'm going to ask Falak, I know you are moderating this session. Do you want to add a sentence or two to encourage people to join that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mahi. And to everyone who's in this session, as Mahi said, I definitely encourage you to join our session happening on the 28th of June at 8 p.m. IST. The idea or the aim of the session is to guide people who are aspiring to move to Germany, whether it's for work or whether it's to study in the prestigious universities that we have here, how to go about it. Because coming here seems quite complex and overwhelming for everyone, especially with the added layer of language barrier. And the idea with the esteemed set of panelists that we have, who bring in diverse set of experiences, is that we make this process more easier for you and address any query or concern that everyone has. With that, I'd like to pass on to Manzoor Saab, who we have here, who's one of our panelists for the upcoming session. If you could add in a couple of words from your side as well, Dr. Manzoor.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Studying in Germany is a great opportunity for students with many renowned universities in Germany and a wide range of programs. Most universities offer tuition-free and many courses are in English. Degrees earned here become a key to a job opportunity and eventually to citizenship. However, progress in the career and enjoyable social life, German is a must. I am expecting that those who are interested in studying or looking for a career in Germany, they should come to the session and learn more about it, what we are, and how they can approach and get entry to this job market and studies. Thank you.
Thank you, Manzoor Saab and Falak. I'm going to say Danke. And if people want to learn a word or two of German before coming to the session, that'd be great. But I want to say with pride that this is what we do well at KCF. We create opportunities for networking. We create opportunities for people to interact globally, even though it's virtual. We will make local chapters. We are aiming to have aggregated, impactful sessions where local core team leaders, like Falak is in Germany and she's organizing a session in Germany. There's a lot of us in US. We are globally spread out. We have a wing. We have a lot of impactful leaders in Kashmir as well. So I know there were some questions that were directed at Dr. Wani and Dr. Qazi, a bunch of you actually, that are questions. We will send these questions to our panelists. We will get their permission if they want to interact directly with you. We don't want to bombard their inboxes, but I'm sure that, like Dr. Qazi, Mr. Qazi said here, and Dr. Wani said, I don't think when you ask for mentorship, there's a lot of no that comes our way. I'm sure if they find time, they will get back to you. So we will take the questions which we haven't actually been able to address. There's a bunch of them. We will forward it to our panelists, and we will definitely ask them if they would like to have a direct conversation with you guys. And if they get a yes, you will definitely get to know about it. And on that note, I wanted to add one last sentence and say, success in entrepreneurship begins with a commitment to learn, to adapt, to grow, follow your passion, be persistent and have resilience, and have the capacity to navigate challenges, knowing, like Mustafa said, failure is part of success. And failure is a rewarding skill that actually helps you adapt and grow. And with that, I'm going to invite all of you to visit our website for more information. Please follow us on the social media platforms. We have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, we have X, we have LinkedIn. Check out our recordings of the KCF previous sessions in YouTube. And thank you so much again to our esteemed, wonderful, engaging panelists for spending time with us. We prepared this session over a course of many weeks. They have given me a lot of time. They've given KCF a lot of their wisdom and a lot of accommodation for their schedules. I really, really thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I also want to thank you, the audience, for whom we do all of this. I really hope it has added some value. I really hope you have learned a thing or two. And I really hope that you reach out to us, tell us where we fell short, what we can do differently. If you have more questions, if you have more queries and you want to connect, I would love to facilitate. We would love to facilitate that for you. And I know, Kabir, you wanted to say something. Please add that as a note. We will send it out in our Greater Kashmir article. I'm sorry I didn't get to you today, but thank you so much for being part of this panel. With that, I'm going to bid everybody a goodbye. And if you have any parting words, we'd love to hear. If not, this was delightful, and I really, really thank you again for spending time with us.